and this is going to be a tough one. But we have not talked about Gaza. We have not talked about Israel, Palestine. We've been off for months, and we were back for the first time last month since December. We did talk about it certainly between October and December. But there's a lot to discuss. And this was actually, believe it or not, from last Sunday. So I'm going to bring both last Sunday and today's to show some of the differences in where things have moved in just a week. And we're going to look at both from Mondoweiss, both Al-Aqsa Floods, Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. They literally publish an update every day. Please subscribe and support this wonderful independent outlet made up of Jews, Palestinians, anti-Zionists, anti-imperialists, and they also are a Indie Media Award honoree by not by any chance, not by any mistake, because they do outstanding work. So Operation Al-Aqsa Flood Day.
Tic-tac-toe, a winner.
Oh God Almighty! I'm gonna have to hear that all night long. Oh.
Yes, you are.
Oh man.
Yep, deal with it.
Tell me again how it's all about Hamas, because Israel deployed 15,000 troops last Sunday to the West Bank at the start of Ramadan.
It's all about Hamas.
Hamas. Okay. So that kind of is upsetting, I'd say, a little bit. Like, what's going on there? So we've got Mustafa Abu Sneineh. I don't want to mess up his name. I apologize. The Al-Aqsa Brigade spokesman says Israel is using deception and evasion. They deployed thousands of... So this is one summary, and then you've got a little bit more of a detailed summary, and this is what I wanted to show. And these are official numbers according to the Gaza Health Ministry. This was as of last Sunday, 31,045 killed and 72,645 in Gaza. 25 children in Gaza have died of malnutrition and dehydration since the beginning of March. On top of the fact that, again, tell me this is about Hamas, where Hamas does not operate at all. 423 plus Palestinians killed in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. What? Why? Well, we once again see Israel revising its estimated October 7th death toll down from 1,400 to 1,147. I think they was at 1,200 or change, but now it's down to 1,147, and that doesn't even separate the non-combatants from the civilians, because the soldiers then comprised at least half, and then you, on top of that, identify the ones that were taken out by the IDF because of the Hannibal Directive, and those were exterminated allegedly, because even though the ICJ has already ruled that is what happened. But 588 Israeli soldiers killed since October 7th, and at least 3,200 injured. So what's it worth to Israel? Why? On top of everything else that you could say. But these are their fact-check numbers and where they're coming from. And these updates are extensive. So beyond that, you've got key developments. And this is coming from the people inside the walls. So I tend to believe this a lot more.
Coming from inside the house?
Well, no, there are walls around all of Gaza. So no, it's inside the walls. Literally. And and unfortunately, they leveled the house. So there is no house. It's inside the tent, maybe. It's
coming from inside.
It's heartbreaking to even giggle about it. So
I know.
This was the one that made me want to cover this story, because nobody that I heard really was talking about this in the last week. Is that 15,000 soldiers were deployed to the West Bank and Jerusalem ahead of Ramadan, including 5,000 reservists, 24 battalions, 20 border police companies, and 2 special forces units. Because that's what you need at Ramadan, is special forces units. Yep. Okay. There was an attempt for ceasefire talks, and that broke down. And the Hamas Al-Qassam Brigade's spokesperson ruled out any breakthrough there, describing Israel's position as deceptive. And there's a lot more in this article about that.
Deceptive. That's
yes.
a way to put it.
Well,
Yep.
and it's always the details, right? So Israel's campaign of starvation against Palestinians in Gaza is affecting Israeli captives, some of whom also are suffering from hunger, malnutrition, and dehydration. Go figure! When you starve the Palestinian people, you starve the captives that they also hold. Like this, a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, is not even being reported in independent media much. At least, certainly not in the corporate independent media world. You're certainly not hearing anybody on, really, I hear the Hill rising, other than maybe matter-of-factly going through one of these or two of these, but getting angry about it and really railing, I don't know. Maybe you hear occasionally, but it's just, 4 out of 7 Israeli captives who died due to who've died due to Israeli raids on the Gaza Strip. Right. So they're, again, Hannibal directive, allegedly, murdering their own. We 72% of the death toll are women and children, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, which the Israeli intelligence and Israeli health ministry usually accepts as the fact after the fact. And Gaza City municipality says Israel destroyed a 1 million square meter of roads within the Gaza Strip. What do you think it'll cost to rebuild 1 million square meters of roads?
I mean, it's a little cheaper when you're just going to replace it with a canal, but, you know.
Well, if there's no plan to replace it. But they have built a road that's going to subdivide Gaza across. But we're going to talk about that later. Gaza also needs heavy vehicles and fuel supplies to clean rubble and nearly 70,000 tons of rubbish. But, of course, we know that no aid trucks are being able to be let in. But also, rescue teams transferred 37 bodies of Palestinian dead and 118 people to Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital overnight. They don't even have hospitals at this point. The U.S. to send Army vessel to Eastern Mediterranean to deliver aid and supplies. That was a week ago. How's that going? We know what's going to happen there. They're going to help in building the port that you guys covered on Wednesday night. Disgraceful.
Yep, big wooden horse with Trojans in it.
And then you've got Wafa reports Israeli bombing of tents displaced Palestinians, killed 15 in Al-Maswi, west of Khan Yunis. And Spain's considering recognizing a Palestinian state by 2027. And I wonder how they're going to do that. Okay, sure. Where that's going to be physically, I don't know. But, then they go into detail of all of these bullets. And I don't even want to say bullets, but all of these key developments. It's horrible. And then you've got this week. So now, a week later, what we've got going on is now you've got day 163. A top official says that Israel failed to prove its accusations against UNRWA, which I don't think that is much of a surprise. And, of course, they've got the heartbreaking photo of a family, and you can see that's obviously a very young child. And now that number, I wanted to bring that back here. So last week it was 31,045 and 72,645. This week it's 31,645, so another 600 killed officially. And it went from 72,645 to 73,676, so over 1,000 wounded in a week. 600 killed, 1,000 wounded. And of course, we know that that's likely under here. Some rights groups put the death toll at closer to 35,000 when accounting for those presumed dead. Gaza's health ministry just confirmed this figure. So you've got 435 Palestinians killed in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. Again, this is about Hamas, right? They don't operate. There is no Hamas there. Why are they killing all these people there? And there's also been thousands taken prisoner in West Bank. Like thousands. Israel, again, has revised its death toll down. They said that last week to 1147. And now you've got an update to 591, 3 more Israeli soldiers killed, and the same number injured. And that, again, was released by the Mossad, literally, by the Israeli military. Now, this week, what's happening is that you've got Netanyahu saying that the army will operate in Rafah as international and U.S. officials warn of invading the southernmost Gaza district, where at least 1 million Palestinians have been displaced to. They obviously don't give a fuck. And nobody's stopping them. Isn't that wonderful? We live in hell. I mean, I don't even know, like, where do you go with it? But you've got to talk about it. You've got to document it. You've got to give light to it, because there's not enough channels that are, and we're doing it, thankfully, and credit to the ones who are, and I appreciate the ones who do. But then you've even got Tedros, the WHO chief, and we're not a fan of his whatsoever. Whitney Webb has done extensive research and talked about him. Check out Unlimited Hangout, another indie media word on re. WHO chief says further escalation in violence in Rafah's densely populated area would lead to many more deaths and suffering, especially with health facilities already overwhelmed. Health facilities, not even hospital, but health facilities, because they're basically tent setup. And when you've even got this guy who was completely in the pocket of the World Economic Forum and all the bankers and everybody else screaming the alarm bells, come on, man. According to Al Jazeera Arabic, right? Clan chiefs in Gaza and UN officials. How about this one? UN officials are delivering aid following directions issued by Hamas security agencies, asking Palestinians not to gather near areas where aid trucks arrive due to frequent Israeli attacks on crowds seeking aid. So now it's let us distribute the aid and let us take the risk of being murdered for going and getting the aid that is making it in, because Israel's doing that too. Allegedly. Except for all the places where they're celebrating and admitting that they're doing it. Euromed chairman says instruction from Gaza police to tell people to back off when aid deliveries arrived, because it was met with full commitment from the population. Yeah, they don't want to be murdered. They've seen the flower massacres and they've heard about the flower massacres. I don't know if they've seen it. They don't have a TV. They don't have electricity. They don't have running water. They don't have anything. But they know about the flower massacre. Israel is now trying to create an authority in Gaza in place of Hamas by using humanitarian aid as a tool to strengthen and push some clan leaders to the front seat. Hey, you want to get your people some food? You want to become the new leaders of the Palestinian people and the resistance effort? Join us and do what we say and take our food, our expired MREs, as they're giving you. Allegedly. EU's top humanitarian aid official says Israel did not present any evidence of claims against UNRWA to him or any official at the EU executive or to any other donor. Come on, people. Well, yes. Yes, thank you, Animators. We are, as Jimmy Dore said to that general this week, we are the terrorists. And that general, could not really say much to say other than to say, due to my military training, I can't really believe that, but I understand you're feeling that way. Yeah, it was It was General Anthony Tata.
Why are we giving generals the
Well,
time of day?
that's a whole other question. That's a whole other question. But saying it to his face and hearing the reaction and the response was kind of funny. But and Jimmy saying, "I just want to call you Tata," and that was funny in itself too. But anyway, I don't really. It's the only segment I listen to all week. I happened to turn on the podcast the other day. But anyway. EU official, and I'm not even going to bother trying to butcher that last name, says, of course, more aid is needed to enter the Gaza Strip by trucks, and Israel should open additional land crossing points. No shit, Sherlock. Wow. Talk about understatement of the year. Armed clashes intensify in Al-Zahara city, south of Gaza, now as Israel finishes building a fortified highway, effectively splitting the enclave in two from the north to the south. And that was the thing I wanted to dig into a little further. And then Mahmoud Nofal succumbs to his wounds after armed clashes with Israeli soldiers stationed near Al-Shuhada Street in Hebron. This is all unnecessary. And the worst part really is when I try to have a conversation with anybody who is in my world but is propagandized still and not believing what their eyes or not seeing what we see because their news feeds don't show it to them. It's how do you their brains can't even understand what's really going on here. And you start to explain it and they get angry at you. It's very much like a case of a Julian Assange in a way. It's they're angry at the messenger and not at the action and what's actually happening. And that is wow. Anyway, so Netanyahu, like we said, vows to invade Rafah despite the international red line. Right, we know that's going to happen. So they either have a choice to surrender and go to what they deem as a safe zone. Holy shit. They're already sleeping in tents, and now they're for 1.2 million Palestinians. Now they have to move again. They want them displaced again. While provided little food and drink, which has already led to the death of dozens thanks to malnutrition and dehydration. Here you've seen in the last 24 hours, and again, this was published a day ago already, 9 massacres in various areas of Gaza, killing at least 92 and injuring another 130. And thousands remain under rubble. And I hate to bum everyone out on their Sunday night, but this is we owe it to them and the stories of what's happening here to talk about this, and haven't enough. And we've been off. I've been sharing it on Substack, of course, and on IndieMediaToday.com. Go there. You see that there. But Israeli forces had expelled hundreds of thousands of Palestinians under heavy bombardment and fire. That's nice, and that's even a kind way to say it. From areas in the north and central Gaza to Rafah, we know, which at one point was designated as a safe zone, and now, of course, that's not so much a safe zone, I guess, designated anymore. And now he's decided that they're Hamas too, I guess. Motherfucking criminals.
Everyone's Hamas, bro. Didn't you know?
Biden continues to talk him down, of course, while simultaneously feeding him weapons and money. The head of the WHO said that many people are too fragile, sick, and hungry to be moved again. Yes. And that they also, by the way, don't have anywhere safe to move to. So what, go back toward the bombs? Or toward the fence where they're gonna... they're not letting you out.
Yes. You got to learn to love the bomb. You got to learn to love it. You know?
Oh, it's really funny that everyone went hysterical over Donald Trump using this word last night to describe how the American economy would happen and what would happen to the automotive industry if he does not become president. That it would become a bloodbath. I remember hearing that word, and a lot of people running around with their hair on fire today about that.
Yep.
But actually, several UN officials warned of an actual bloodbath in Rafah if Israel launched an assault on the area. Jesus Christ. Well, we said.
Jesus Christ.
While the U.S. aids and abets this and funds it and arms it and cheers it on. It's such a disgrace.
Yep.
What a disgrace. Overnight, aid deliveries arriving in North Gaza were unloaded in a center belonging to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, which is UNRWA, to distribute it to people. And according to Al Jazeera Arabic, local clan chiefs in Gaza and UN officials had managed to deliver the aid following a directive issued by Hamas security agencies asking Palestinians not to gather near Kuwait Roundabout or Salah el-Din Street, where aid trucks typically arrive. Why? Because Israeli forces have routinely targeted Palestinians who gathered to get food in these areas in recent weeks, killing hundreds, as we call them, the flower massacres. Due to immense food shortages, and if you want to learn more about that, by the way, watch Richard Medhurst, watch Eva Bartlett, watch Vanessa Beeley, watch Convo Couch, watch, who else is talking about this? Mondoweiss again, Declassified UK. You've got a lot of platforms that are talking about this. Of course, Richard Medhurst, who we'll talk about later. We'll cover his article about Julie. But due to immense food shortages and a crippled aid distribution system, crowds of starving Palestinians have been forced to climb on trucks to get their share while risking Israeli bullets or being crushed by crowds. It's like what they show in the movies. Again, this is why they precondition you to see these kinds of sites, so that when you see it, you're a little bit disheartened to it. And I'm not, and I refuse to be, but I recognize it. And I'm calling it out. But Rami Abdullah, who's the chairman of the Euromed Human Rights Monitor in Geneva, wrote on Twitter that for the past 160 days, now 163, the Israeli occupation army has been targeting members of the police and civil services in Gaza to create a state of chaos and cast doubt on its control. We've covered that they've been targeting doctors and journalists, and now we hear also police, which makes sense. The instruction from Gaza police to people to back off the deliveries to arrive was met with full commitment. These agencies succeeded for the first time in securing the entry of some humanitarian needs to reach the northernmost point of the Gaza Strip. I mean, I don't even know how many people are still left up there, but they've been bombing the shit out of that and literally leveled the entire area. We've seen the footage, the drone footage.
Yep.
So last week, here we go, several Palestinian clans affirmed their position that they refuse to be an alternative political regime in the Gaza Strip and coordinate humanitarian missions with Israel. Very important. Solidarity. They all need to remain on the same page. And this is the one thing that the Zionists and the Israel supporters keep saying, is if they just release the hostages.
Yeah, they pumped seawater into the same tunnel hostages were at. They don't care.
Well, there's also been offers.
They literally don't care.
They also offered to release all the hostages in exchange for Israel releasing all their hostages, and that was dismissed.
Multiple times. Multiple times they've offered stuff that Israel's turned down.
Saying, well, how can you trust them? But how can you potentially make a deal? All you demand is complete, or it's 1 for 100, I believe is currently the ratio they want. They'll exchange 1 Palestinian for 100 Israelis.
Yeah, which is literally saying that we're 100 more than you are.
Always. They always have been.
Yeah.
It's been that way.
Fucking stupid.
Yes. So, of course, we see that Israel did not present evidence against UNRWA. They have been vital in providing humanitarian services to Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, but, of course, the agency was stripped in January of nearly $450 million of funding after top donors, including the U.S., suspended payment in January in the wake of Israeli allegations against the agency. What is this? Well, Israel has accused the UN agency of employing over 450 military operatives. Now, it's interesting that it's $450 million for 450 military operatives. Conveniently, when you're making it up, you might as well just make up a number that matches the same number, I guess. From Hamas and other resistance groups, right? Alleging that a dozen of them took part in the October 7th attack, a claim again which Israel has yet to back up with any concrete evidence whatsoever. Now, since the initial withdrawal of funding, several countries, including Australia, Sweden, and Canada, have resumed their donation pledges to UNRWA as they have not seen any evidence backing Israel's accusations. Of course, now they have not made good on the January payment, to my knowledge, but they've resumed payments at least for February and March, which is nice. But that was also part of Israel's plan, was to further starve the Palestinians to deprive them of that money in addition. Even if it's a month, that's really bad. UNRWA's initial investigations have also found that some of its staff in Gaza were severely tortured and abused by Israeli forces and were forced into making false confessions to support Israel's claims that the agency's staff have ties to Hamas. What a surprise. Again, doing exactly what they accuse the other side of. And this is...
AK, we tortured some folks.
Something like that. But it's also that Israel accuses Hamas of doing this to Israeli prisoners, except that the Israeli prisoners all come back and say the opposite, or the ones that do, that they don't, that aren't killed in firefights because Israel will cease fire and allow the Hamas to return the prisoners at all. The EU's top humanitarian aid official, as we said, has confirmed that Israel did not present any evidence that the claims against UNRWA to him or any official at the EU executive or to any other donor. And that in early March it's going to pay the EU the $55 million in donation to UNRWA, but will hold back nearly $35 million until the investigation into Israel's allegations is resolved. Like, what? Okay. UNRWA's already screamed and sounded the alarm bell that they don't even have enough to operate now. And that's also, again, part of Israel's plan, is to set up another network like that. Well, I guess I have to put that up. Can I do that here? No, I don't have the ability. I didn't bring that screen. All right. Well, according to Go Start over on Rumble, allegedly, and this is not confirmed, but the largest medical complex in Gaza, Al-Shifa Hospital, once again is being attacked by Israel in the middle of the night, right now, as we speak and as we're reading this.
Nice.
But this was about the West Bank, and about this was about 15,000 troops in the West Bank, and about the fact that that they're not attacking. This is about Hamas, right? Where Hamas is not in the West Bank. Happy Sunday, CBC voter. Lenarchik said more aid needs to enter the Gaza Strip by lorries, trucks, and Israel should open additional land crossing points. We have stated that. U.S. maritime corridor set up from Cyprus to Gaza is, although a welcome addition, only can complement the land routes.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yes. You cannot, in current circumstances, provide sufficient supplies by maritime routes or airdrops because there is no real port in the Gaza Strip. And even once they build one, we know what they're going to do. And somebody left a very interesting comment I noticed on our YouTube channel under the port that you had from the coverage that you guys had the other day.
Yeah.
And they were talking about that will eventually then be used to bring arms into Israel as well, likely. That's what I wanted to show from Ghost Star. The largest medical complex is in Al Shifa is being attacked by Israel. So I'm not reporting this. He is. This is unconfirmed, but I wanted to show that. So Israel bombed central Gaza, and we know that was happening. Israel forces kill Palestinian in Hebron. What the hell's going on there? The U.S. sanctions the West Bank settlers. That's nice, but right, again, 435 Palestinians in occupied West Bank and Jerusalem, according to the Ministry of Health. Palestinian Authority's Ministry of Health, because the Palestinian Authority controls the West Bank, not Hamas or the Gaza Health Ministry. Israel also arrested 7,605 Palestinians in the West Bank since October.
Since October.
Yeah. Since October. Are they going to be released at any point? On Saturday, it arrested 65 workers in Jaffa, and 36 of them remain under investigation, according to Wafa.
Jaffa.
Right. Israeli forces also arrested Palestinians from Jenin, Hebron, Galilee, and Bethlehem overnight. 2 attacks from Israeli.
That's where the cakes come from.
Settlers. Is that right? Yes, the Jaffa cakes.
Jaffa cakes.
Sure.
Tasty, delicious.
In Burn, south of Nablus, they threw stones on Palestinian homes and fired bullets in the air with no injuries reported, while in Duma they threatened Palestinians of expelling them from the area. Like,
so wait.
Yep.
This is another thing that they accuse other Palestinians of doing. They throw rocks at us. Yeah, except you also throw rocks at them and then some. So yeah, they threw stones on Palestinian houses. That's nice.
Yep.
Nice of them to do that.
Yep. So
some
of those settlers have been put under U.S. Department sanctions, like we said, which also put 2 illegal outposts, Moshe's farm and Zvi's farm, on the list. Right? That's probably like an illegal outposts. You know what that means? Mossad intelligence stations.
Settler. Yeah.
No, Moshe's farm, Zvi was a Mossad agent. Moshe, yes, was Moses, but also there were very famous agents there too. In occupied Jerusalem, 60,000 Palestinians performed Ramadan's Tarawih prayer in Al-Aqsa Mosque on Saturday night. And Israeli authorities are still limiting the numbers of Palestinians from the West Bank to even enter Jerusalem at Ramadan to pray at Al-Aqsa. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
We're fucked.
Wafa reported that Israeli forces set up at least 30 makeshift checkpoints in the outskirts of the old city, at the city's gates, and at the entrances of Al-Aqsa. Can you imagine getting all the way from West Bank to the front of Al-Aqsa and then not getting through that checkpoint, getting turned around? I guarantee you that's happening. I guarantee you that's happening.
Yeah.
That's so. I also wanted to. We're not crazy about these guys. They certainly do State Department propaganda, but they also once in a while are allowed to get it right. And this was the other day, which was a further report on UNRWA saying that Israel tortured and waterboarded staff, which led to the false confessions.
No.
Waterboarding. Where did we hear about waterboarding before?
We tortured some folks.
We did torture some folks.
Know?
So, yeah. UNRWA has accused the Israeli military of beating and waterboarding some of its staff held in Israeli prisons. That's just par for the course, according to the reports from the Palestinians who have been in there before. So they're effectively treating them as if they treat the rest of the Palestinians. Agency staff members, quote, have been subject to threats and coercion by the Israeli authorities while in detention and pressured to make false statements against the agency, including that the agency has affiliations with Hamas and that UNRWA staff members took part in the October 7th atrocities.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. UNRWA's faced a crisis, obviously, since Israel's accused a number of UNRWA staff workers of taking part in the October 7th attacks. Two of which, by the way, were killed on October 7th. And over 100 UNRWA relief workers have been killed since October 7th. I did not see that mentioned.
This is part of the thing with that. Like, with that port.
Yes.
That, like, Israel wants UNRWA out of the picture.
And has for a long time.
You know, they've been claiming they're Hamas. So...
But they have for a long time. There's been a long-term plan to replace.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy. Haiti guy. All right, so he's going to resign. More
headlines is what you
that's more headlines. Sorry. Okay, so back to this because we're done with the this portion. But there is one more story, and we're going to bring that in. But it's a short one because it's from Dave DeCamp, and we love our Dave DeCamp stories. Right, Colin, bloodbath is okay, but genocide is. Yeah, no, and no, and no. Agreed, Care Bear. Care Bear says no.
Yep.
Yes, Angel's so fucking scary when they actually are saying it out loud, and then they turn around and run around hysterical when Trump says that the auto industry is going to experience a bloodbath. Like what? Okay. Oh, and there was another thing that Crab put up today that was like literally 5 days ago, where the corporate media was saying that that Biden, that there was something going on where there was a bloodbath there too. And okay.